So how do people become bitter? What is the cycle of bitterness? Ephesians 4:31. Let all, how much? All. The word all is very important. Let all bitterness. So that's what we've been talking about for 40 minutes, that word. All bitterness. Let me just start there. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15 says that as Christians and in the church, we have to dig up the root of bitterness lest it grow up and defile many. What he's saying is that bitterness has roots. I'll give you an analogy, an illustration from my childhood. I was the oldest of 5 children, and we didn't water our lawn during the summer because it cost money. So the grass would die, but the weeds would flourish. I know not why, but that's just how it worked in our yard. So weeds everywhere. And my dad, hey, Mark, I got to go to work. You're home for the summer. I need you to go out, get rid of the weeds. How should I do that, Dad? Get a shovel. You got to dig them up. I thought, nah. I want to ride my bike and play ball. It's summer. There's got to be a quicker way to remove the weeds. So I got the electric weed eater, the weed whacker, and I thought, well, this will just take a minute. We'll get rid of all the weeds. And then I'll have time to ride my bike and play ball and move on with my life. So I got the electric weed whacker, whacked down all the weeds, jumped on my bike, drove away to go enjoy the rest of my summer, and lo and behold, it wasn't long. I looked out on the lawn, and what do you think was there? More weeds. More weeds. Because weeds have roots. And if you don't pull the roots, you just get more weeds. Okay? Forgiveness is the shovel that digs up the root of bitterness. So what Paul is saying here, he's saying, don't just work on your hurt or your anger, your temper, get the root. And the root is what? Bitterness. How many of you feel like, I dealt with that, and then it comes back, and it's bigger and worse than ever? You didn't pull the root. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Returning to my analogy that I borrowed from Proverbs 26:20, without wood a fire goes out, without gossip a quarrel dies down. Bitterness is a spark. You've been sinned against, you've been hurt, there's a flash. You decide, I will not forgive them, or I won't forgive them right now. There's a spark. That leads to wrath. Now, you've got a flame. You ever built a fire or a campfire? First thing, you need a spark and then a little flame. Okay, now we have the beginnings of a potential fire. There's an opportunity here. That's what wrath is. Bitterness is like the spark. Wrath is the first flame. Now through gossip, you're literally breathing on it. They did this. They said that. They hurt me. Here's how I feel. See my emotion. You're blowing on that little flame, hoping I can get this into a fire. Anger is where you officially have a small fire. You don't need to keep stuffing paper. The kindling is caught. It's not a big fire, but it could be. Clamor. Now, it's a growing fire. It's a growing fire. It's warm. There's heat coming off it. You can see it. There's life to it. You ever been around a big fire? It's like it has a life of its own. So much energy there. That's the state of clamor. Slander. Well, nice hot fire. The coals are burning. We need more wood. We need more wood. My wood alone will not make the kind of forest fire that I want. So I'm going to start talking about this person who I say is responsible for the fire because their flint rock collided against my flint rock, so the spark is their fault. Their fault. Forget the rest of the story, which is you stacking wood and blowing and encouraging and yearning for conflict and a bigger fire. Where can I get some wood? I remember that person doesn't like them. I'm going to talk to them. You don't like them? I don't like them either. You know what they did to me? They did that to you? Come on, bring your wood. Throw it on my fire. Do you have any friends that have been hurt by them? Let's go talk to them. Let's friend them. Let's email them. Let's call them. Let's text them. Let's get together with them. Hey, bring your wood. We got a fire. Oh, you don't even know them, but somebody did something similar to you and you're unforgiving and hurt? Well, your wood will burn. It's dry. Just throw it on our fire. That's slander. That's slander. Along with all malice, that's where it becomes an uncontained wildfire. It just goes in any direction and consumes any fuel. This is where whole families get burned down, businesses get burned down, friendships get burned down, community groups get burned down, redemption groups get burned down, churches get burned down. Some years ago, Grace and I were taking a vacation when the kids were younger in Central Oregon. It's desert country, it's dry. There was a fire that started. They're not sure. They thought maybe a camper didn't pay attention to their little fire. Or somebody was driving down the road and flicked their cigarette out. Just a little spark. And the fire department couldn't contain it. And now it's a raging forest fire. And it had jumped the line. It had jumped over freeways and roads. It was consuming homes and devastating lives. And they rerouted all of the traffic. And as we're stuck in traffic, you could just see this billowing black smoke that just covered the sky. I'm sure whoever threw the cigarette or failed to attend to their campfire did not intend for that. Bitter people don't intend to burn down everything in their path. But the two options are bitterness or forgiveness. Wood on the fire or water on the fire. And sometimes hurt people like to hurt people. Some fires move slow. Some fires move fast. The Holy Spirit knows what he's talking about, doesn't he? This isn't an old book. This is a timeless book. So it's always timely.